Thank you all for coming out. It means a great deal that you all came out tonight in support of our campaign, and it means a great deal to me personally as the candidate's my father. I've spent my whole life watching my father serve his community, from 34 years with the Parks and Rec to his 8 years on the City Common Council, to his time spent in the school district, and now as his mayoral candidate of Syracuse, trying to make things better for the future. And I'd like to introduce the next mayor of Syracuse, New York.
I think we got the wrong candidate up there. I think Joe should run. I told Ksenia, I see some of the kids I used to coach back there, Dennis Kelly and Doug Smith and Harry and all them kids from St. Pat's. I was a pretty good basketball coach, and Ksenia's Russian and Joe's Irish, so I expect 5 Irish Cossacks to coach in the future, because I still got a lot of time left, I want to recognize some folks here tonight, too, not only because, I've been stunned and humbled by the amount of volunteers we've had. This campaign started actually after a bunch of long talks with people in the neighborhoods and the neighborhood meetings I go to, and I felt compelled to do this, and I was surprised and once again humbled by the amount of people that support me. I got some great colleagues on the council that are also running. I got Lance Deno and Gene Kestner, Lou Ryan. Kathleen Joy, who's been served as majority leader actually twice. God bless her. I got a second council seat, which is of course my own, and I'm giving it up to become mayor. I have a great young guy from a great family on the West End, Chad Ryan, who's hopefully will become that independent voice, and that's why we're here, because we believe in independence. We believe we have a vision of the city where a government is open and transparent. The last 4 years have been far from that. Before I came down here today, I took a drive up to Canal Street. Canal Street's up on the north side, and it's been in the news for 2 shootings. I've been a neighborhood counselor, and I'm proud to say I've been a neighborhood counselor, because I believe in quality of life issues, because I believe you make Syracuse a great place to live, people will come here and live. People will come here, raise families, and that's why I remember Syracuse. Canal Street used to be like that, but now it's in the news for a whole different reason. I pledge you, if I become mayor, that we're not going to have too many more Canal Streets anymore. We're going to put the police out in the neighborhoods, we're going to patrol the streets, and we're going to stop crime where it begins. And that's a pledge I'll make to you. I know it works because it's worked in the 2nd Council District. I have members of the Neighborhood Watch that are here, and we've dealt on different issues. And then I want to say another words too. As mayor, you set priorities and you allocate resources. I also say, as far as public safety goes, we're not going to close any more firehouses, and we're going to open Firehouse Station 7. And I want to thank the firemen and all our public employees and policemen for the jobs they do every single day. It's time they're appreciated by the people on the 2nd floor of city government. I appreciate them because I served with them for a lot of years, and I know the extraordinary lengths they do to do their jobs every single day. And we're going to go back to that. We're going to go back to respecting the public employees. There's a lot of neighborhood folks here today who believe in this city, and they've joined our campaign. And you know what? That belief in the city is enough to take things back to where they used to be. I heard the mayor talk the other day, and she says about police, she talks about data, and she says, I have outmoded concepts about public safety. Well, yeah, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. I grew up in the valley where you could leave your doors open at night, where you could walk the streets, where a parent could send a kid to school, walk up the street, and expect her to come back at 3 o'clock without being harassed or humiliated. I know, I worked in the schools, I see what happens in the schools, and you know what, we're going back to a template where everybody gets educated and we have safe, secure schools again, too. And that's going to happen every year. I remember this place before it was such a nice space, and I want to thank Chris for arranging for this space for us, too. There used to be a bar over here. Believe it or not, I remember there used to be a bar over here. I know it's hard to believe, folks, but it was a place, a guy named Andy Sturck used to bartend there. Some of you old-time West Enders, if there's anybody in here, remember Andy Sturck. Andy Sturck was on the Board of Supervisors and later as a county legislator. He was pothole type guy. Sometimes I'm derisively thought of as a pothole type city councilor. I take care of quality of life issues. Andy was like that. And Andy would bartend and then he'd walk back to the West End. And for a lot of years he served this county and this city very well. My father knew him. And Andy had a brother by the name of Jeff. Now Jeff Sturck was a fellow who was somewhat disabled, physically disabled. And maybe some of you longtime downtown folks remember he used to sell balloons on the corner of like Jefferson and Salina Street. And he had little animals and everything like that. And everybody sort of knew him, and he was a guy who lived in James Geddes housing, public housing. And one of his other jobs, he'd work out to MacArthur Stadium, and he'd sell stuff outside of MacArthur Stadium. And my father would take myself and my brother to the ball games every once in a while. And my father would always wait to see he just would hang around after a baseball game because he loved baseball so much. I know Nader loves stuff like this, but so at MacArthur Stadium, we would the game would end, and I remember my father getting in the car and we were driving home, and we'd see Jeff sort of walking very slow with his balloons and everything else and his toys, and I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and he pulls over. He says, "Jeff, you need a ride?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, Jimmy." And he hopped in the back seat of the car. Now, when you're 10 or 11 years old, you're sort of mortified by that. My father's picking up a guy who's, down on his luck, looks like sort of a bum. And I was mortified by that. And so we drive him down James Geddes housing, and he drops him off, and we walk across the street, and I go, "Dad, why'd you give him a ride?" He goes, "Pat, he needed a ride." You give people a ride. You give people a hand anytime you can. I remember that every day of my life. When we talk about Ida Benderson Senior Center being closed, those people needed a hand. The mayor closed that center. We're going to open it up again. We're going to give everybody a hand anytime they want it. That's what the Hogan administration is going to be about, giving anybody a hand and any kind of help they can. So listen, Pat O'Connell, he's a great saloon keeper over North Salina Street, gave us some pizza and chicken wings. I thank everybody for helping us out. I thank my campaign manager. He's the best there is. We got some great people here, and we're going to have a new mayor in September.